Okay, so your spouts can be anything. So think about all the stuff that we've learned so far. So even taking a ball of clay like this, I'm gonna just stick my finger all the way through it, and then like now I got a gnarly little spout. You know? No, not really. But I can take this and do like a pinch pot with this. So now I've got a hole all the way through it. And as I'm pinching this, I'm pulling this back end out and trying to leave that bottom end a little bit tighter. So now you can see how it's kind of becoming funnel-like. So again, we want, on a functional spout, you want compression on the water as it's exiting through the spout. So we want it to act like a funnel, so it shoots out in a jet stream. You see how I'm making that end? So even just a pinch pot could super mega work. So I'm just making a little thing, you know, this could be like a little spout like that little guy, and then I could like, this would just be it roughed out, you know, and then when this firms up, so that would be one of the parts that I collect, you know, that's simple. And then when this firms up, we can smooth it out and do whatever, you know, if we want this to attach to our teapot on like an upward, you know, if I want this to attach in an upward direction, I can kind of cut that in a way, you know, and we can cut this thing if we want. It's too soft. I'm just doing this for the sake of this demonstration, but you know. So if you wanted like a little baby spout, you know, or we could add on to that as well, you know. So simple ways and all these hand building bits that we've done so far, you can use those techniques also to make spouts. You could throw a spout on the potter's wheel. Another way, especially for longer spouts, a way that I like to do, so this is the thing I really wanted to show you guys today. So I'm going to take a coil like this, and I'm rolling this out. So again, we want compression as we do this on a spout. So I'm rolling this down even to start. I'm rolling it out nicely, and I'm rolling it out in a little wedge shape, right? So it's like a little carrot. And then I'm gonna use this dowel rod. So I'm gonna start by putting it right in the middle here. And as I push it through, I'm kind of rolling it, and I have my hand on the coil here. So I can feel the clay expanding as I'm pushing it through here. So what it wants to do, the stick wants to try to like angle out to one of the sides, but we want this to stay right in the middle. Okay, so I keep my hand on it and I can feel right where it is. So sometimes I'm kind of, if I keep this up and down, the clay wants to kind of come out to the side. So I'm kind of, as I'm feeling it, I'm kind of bending this around a little bit to keep it right in the middle. So I'm kind of doing this a little bit as I'm pushing it through, just to make sure that it's as best I can up the middle of it. So I'm just kind of rolling this sucker through here. Oh God, please work. Oh yeah. Right, so I got that, so I got it through here, but now the bottom is way too thick, right? I probably don't want the top to get much thinner than that, but I definitely don't want the bottom to be this thick. So what I do to thin that out is I want to use the stick to thin it out, but I don't want the bottom end to get any thinner. So I kind of grab this with my fingers, and I keep my finger on the table so that this thin end is raised up. And now I can kind of use this dowel rod to push down on this side and thin out this thickness. So I'm not thinning out that thin end. I'm just thinning out the thick end. See how that's opening up? See that, Arij?
Yeah.
See how it's opening? Okay. So I'm just kind of applying pressure here. And now I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure just to smooth out the whole thing. I don't want to smooth out that thin end too much. I'm just kind of rolling that out. So now I've got a little spout here. So I could be done with it just like this, and I could bend this a little bit or whatever, and I can alter this later on. But I'll show you one other thing that I do to get these things really nice and super fluid. So in keeping my one hand really dry, I'm gonna, like we pull a handle, I'm gonna pull this spout. So I keep my hand like this with my one finger around the stick and then my thumb and my pinky around the base. That's just how I find it to be comfortable, but whatever you guys, if you guys try this, whatever you kind of come up with. So I'm pulling water up into the spout to keep it lubricated so it slides up and down. And then I'm gonna keep a little extra on this. So I'm gonna kind of first get this wet. And now I can start kind of pulling this and making it longer. What happens is even though it's lubricated, it still can stick. So every once in a while, I want to keep this hand dry so I can kind of stay in control. But every once in a while, every bunch of pulls, I kind of pull some more water up into this so it doesn't stick to the tube. And now I can kind of keep going. Sometimes I'll even dig my thumb in a little bit just to really move some clay. But then I'm kind of going back to, this one's just going to be round. Like it's not going to have much shape to it other than just being round. But pulling a spout, I'll show you why it's nice. Because it really smooths it out. So it gets it super smooth. And you really hydrate it. So now that I got it where I want it, because it's so wet and smoothed out and compressed, now I can really start to bend this thing. So I'm kind of pushing out on the inside with my finger here as I round this out. And this would be the bottom where it attaches to the teapot. And then I usually make these longer than I need. So if I want to bend this here, I can cut this top part off, or that's ripping off. If I want to make it a little bit shorter with my wet hands, I can bend this into the shape that I want. And then when this firms up, I can cut this down on both ends and attach it and clean it up. So now I would just lay this on my board and let that firm up, and now I have one part made. So that's my spout.